Good afternoon. You're welcome back to Jonesy Chats Wrestling. This is Tuesday, the 1st of June, 2021, and we're here to discuss last night's Monday Night SmackDown, joined by regular co-host, none other than Steve from SCW. And the reason for the delay, appreciate all your patience or watching, stuff like that. Steve had the Y2J bug, but he's now fixed it, which is good.
Yeah. You can't live with technology. You can't live without it, unfortunately. No, we're here now. But it's good to be here. Going to be talking about Monday Night Raw, which is nice to do once again with your good self. So yeah, thanks for having us on.
It's always good to have you here. I hope you're well. How are you today anyway, Steve? Generally, you okay?
Yeah, everything's good as can be from watching Raw. That's usually where we stand on Tuesdays these days. But no, looking forward to discussing with you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you for asking, Steve. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Huge things happening in the world of WWE. Quite a big show this week on Raw. It was the comeback show, comeback city. I would say the amount of people we had come back this week. I kind of enjoyed parts of it. I've got to be honest with you. I think the fact that we got Adnan Virk gone and Jimmy Smith coming in, he didn't nail everything. By all means, Corey Graves had to sort of cover most of it, but I think he was much better than Adnan Virk, and I think that's a real positive going forward. What did you think of Jimmy Smith before we go into Raw show?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I like the sound and presentation. You can see what WWE's trying to do when they're getting these outsider people to come in and do the commentary. With Adnan Virk, unfortunately, it didn't connect at all. It kind of felt, it was like Mike Adamle vibes back in 2008. Yeah. But with Jimmy Smith, like, you sit there and go, you can really tell he's got that Bellator MMA background. It's really there, and like he's got that presentation. So it's nice. It's got a different flavor to Raw. There's a hint of realism with the sound of the voices, and I think there's a promise with him. The only problem I've got with it now is that sort of Bellator MMA gives you a sense of realism, but the problem is the product doesn't have realism at all. So creative needs to kind of match up with it. But for the sound of the commentary this week, I enjoyed it. I think there's definitely a lot of potential, I would say.
I think he makes some excellent points, definitely. I think the thing with it, his strength really is anything to do with MMA. So when you got Shayna Baszler doing some sort of MMA moves, he's going to thrive on that because he's used to commentating that for Bellator. But when you get stuff that's a bit more complex, like sort of power bombs and stuff like that, he may need Corey Graves then to deep routine. I'm going to put it out to you, Steve, just before we talk about Raw quickly. Do you think they should have gone for Corey as the head voice of Raw? I think they should have done that instead, really, rather than bringing in someone else that doesn't know wrestling that well.
But the thing is, I mean, Corey can cover things, but he does his heel roll so well. So I kind of feel that it would be a real change of the guard for him. So for me personally, I think it was right that they perhaps brought someone else into the role. Of course, I was sad to see Tom Phillips was released last week. But I mean, Jimmy Smith, he's come in. He's done a good start. Like you say, Corey's probably covered things a little bit. But at the same time, I think Jimmy, I've got faith he's going to naturally grow into the role.
I think it'd be good. I'm far more positive than was for Adnan Virk, but let's kind of move forward. We have got some comments in already. The Almighty CR21, good afternoon. Thank you for checking out the live stream. Jimmy Smith is way better for wrestling and a good vibe. I agree. It was exciting to see someone new. He didn't feel out of place to me, which was nice to see. Got a good one here from Noob & Co. Good afternoon, Noob. Thanks for checking that video again. And your comment. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing? Last night Raw is random. I like Jimmy Smith on commentary. I'm glad you liked it. I think the consensus around really is that he's been really, really positive so far. Would you agree, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw on Twitter, no one was complaining about Jimmy Smith last night.
That's for sure. Official TNT 2K. Evening, guys. Good evening to you. Thank you for checking out the live stream. Thank you for your comments. So let's kind of get into this Raw show then. So Raw obviously opens up. We've got the first comeback of the night. We've got the Miz back there. It's Miz TV. Great to see the Miz back. He obviously is a zombie. He's there with some garlic, which is kind of unusual. It's quite interesting. The garlic thing, it's a vampire thing, so I could get it if he was attacked by Gangrel or something like that. I could kind of get that. But if we go into the segments, so it's Miz TV. We've got John Morrison there as well. Crucially, we have got sort of Charlotte there. Charlotte and Rhea Ripley as well. It does end up kind of with Charlotte selling the smell of the garlic. We then get Rhea Ripley making her debut or making a debut entrance of the night, if that makes sense. And then obviously what then happens is we end up with sort of Miz basically asking Morrison about garlic bread recipes and stuff like that. Crucially, we do get Nikki Cross there, and we get what we said last week, which was Nikki Cross is going to beat the clock challenge against Charlotte this week. It's predicted last week. It was pretty obvious to happen. What did you think of this opening segment?
I'm so glad you didn't mention about the dripstick. Yeah, I mean, for me, the Miz TV stuff was look. The thing is, Miz and Morrison play their roles very well, but the material is god awful. It was a very painful segment to watch. But of course, like you say, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley. Rhea seems to be more on the babyface side now, it feels. But the thing is, she's not very likable at this point. They need to do something to make her likable and connect. I'm hoping when fans come in, that will really sort of transition that perfectly to make her a babyface. With the Nikki Cross stuff, yeah, I mean, it's good because Nikki wanted to actually insert herself into the championship picture. Last time I was aware that you needed to actually win matches to do so. But look, I'm so happy that she's on Raw. So I'm going to put all the bad booking to the side, and the fact then we had, like you said, the predictable route that they went to, which was Charlotte versus Nikki Cross. Charlotte needs to win this match in 2 minutes. It's another beat the clock challenge. For what it was, it doesn't make sense, but for what is in the sense of the story, it does make sense.
Definitely. If I look at this, I think a couple of things. I got this. I think John Morrison's wasted. I'm gutted every time I see him with the Miz doing nothing. Like, this guy's so talented. He's wasted in that comedy role, I think, which would be good to see him go out and do some stuff. In terms of Nikki Cross, yeah, it's a fantastic positive. They're really kind of pushing her. They're giving her time on TV, which is good. These wins, they aren't decisive by all means, but the fact that she's going to get a shot at the champion after Hell in a Cell, that's a nice match. What they need to do next week to further elevate this is she has to beat somebody next week, whether it be Lana or somebody. She has to beat somebody cleanly and start winning matches before this match happens. I think you'd agree with that, Steve.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Definitely. So moving forward, obviously we did have this match. Charlotte for Nikki Cross beat the clock challenge. Crucially, Charlotte is getting kind of frustrated by Rhea taunting her. It ends up with Nikki hiding outside the ring for most of the minute. Charlotte does realise the time's running down, which was far better than last week we saw. And crucially, Nikki survives. So another win for Nikki. So Nikki's got back-to-back wins on Raw, which is positive. The format of the win isn't the best, but it's great to see her get that win. What did you think of the role reversal this week in that match?
I mean, the thing is, when you look at it from a logic point, there's 2 minutes. So Nikki Cross running away for the first minute made so much sense. It's like, well, yeah, it's almost like a soccer game or a football game, as we like to call it. And there's a 2-legged game, and the first team wins the game 3-0 in the first match, and then the second match they just go on the defense because they don't need to win it. So it's exactly kind of what this is. So it made total sense of all of that. But the thing is, though, I'm pretty sure that if Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley were to take on enhancement talent, those matches still go on longer than 2 minutes. I think there's a lot more credibility if this was given 5 minutes instead. But unfortunately, Raw or the creative team don't want to give that time to this storyline. And maybe it's some people's taste. Maybe that's the right thing. But the thing is, looking at the end of it, Nikki Cross, it's the right thing for her not to lose in 2 minutes. She would be buried. It doesn't matter who she loses against. So I'm very pleased to see that she survived that. And if we are trying to work her into a title match at some point in the near future, I'm not going to complain about it. So, yeah, it is what it is. It could be booked better, but it could be booked a lot worse.
Definitely going to go to the comments. We've got quite a few comments here. The official 2NTTK, thank you for your comment. It's hard to watch Raw outside the Kofi and Orton match. Raw is the worst wrestling show on the planet, period. Yeah, we've had various debates about how bad Raw is week on week. I think watching it is questionable maybe, but we do it in the hope that it does get better. And what keeps you watching Raw, Steve, in all honesty? What does keep you watching Raw?
I suppose it's that hope it gets better. I would argue that I don't think it's the worst wrestling show right now. There is one or two that I've pulled myself away from because I'm not enjoying them. I don't always enjoy Raw, but I think because it's WWE, I've been given with it so many years. I'm familiar with all of the characters and stuff and the production side of it. I think those are the things that keep you involved. And especially knowing now fans are going to come back very near shortly. You hope Raw is going to raise its game.
I watch it just generally as being a historian of wrestling. Obviously, I've been watching wrestling since 1991. I've been there with bad times. There have been times that have been much worse than this. I think the thing with it is one of them things where I would hate to stop watching Raw 1 week and then it'd be amazing. Like, I miss a return, I miss a comeback. You know what I mean? It's one of them things where it's a bit different reading the results on the internet to actually seeing the show, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There are times throughout this period where I've dipped in and out of watching Raw. But I think it's one of the things you hope it gets better. It is the main brand in WWE. You could say SmackDown is, but I think Raw is kind of up there as well to a certain point. But that's the reason why we keep watching. But got another one here. Noob and Co, thank you for your comment. Moments like Charlotte losing to Nikki in a time limit match and Shayna losing to Reginald in an intergender match makes me feel like we missed Oscar since she's off TV. Great point. Oscar wasn't on this show. She was rehabbing. I thought she might have got involved in the Charlotte Rhea nonsense that's going on. What did you make of Oscar being missing off TV in Noob's comment?
I mean, I can't say I missed Oscar this week, and I'm sorry to Noob about that. But I mean, the thing is, I think that as we've said on multiple different streams on this channel and on my channel, they felt that perhaps Oscar's probably needed a break, something to just give her a reason to be missed and brought back. After 1 week, it doesn't quite do it for me. But what I'd say is that she takes maybe a month off, maybe I would start feeling that. And of course, if with Raw Creative, it doesn't matter who's involved with it right now. If it's bad, it's bad. It's not necessarily down to the wrestlers.
No, definitely. It's not their fault. They're only doing what they can. They change the storylines, moments notice and stuff like that. Got a good one from NXT Steve. Thank you for the comment, NXT Steve. I hope you're well today, mate. Afternoon, fellas. Morrison's last run in WWE with R-Truth before he was released was a real good feud. He needs to go back to that John Morrison. I think that's a good point. I think John Morrison of Lucha Underground, John Morrison of Impact Wrestling, that's what they kind of need to do. I think as a lackey to the Miz, he's a bit lost, unfortunately. No good comes of it. I would love to see him partner with Frankie Monet. That's the money partnership for me. They need to do that, really. I think she's just come up on NXT. I understand that, but look for them to do that. I reckon they'll do that within a year. It wouldn't surprise me.
Especially if Frankie Monet is booked as strong as she was last week. She looks head and shoulders above a lot of that division with experience, with the package, with the character, the attitude, everything that you want from somebody. Frankie Monet has that. And yeah, like you say, if she was partnered with Johnny Drip Drip on Raw, you could drop the drip and you got Morrison back and you can put him to a level like you've seen. Like you said, Lucha Underground is a perfect example. That John Morrison carried that show for a number of series.
Definitely. So let's move forward with this. So we obviously got a backstage segment. We've got Riddle there with the returning Damian Priest. Riddle says that sort of how you say stuff in Spanish, it's almost like language lessons. Crucially, basically been taught different things. Next thing you know, Randy Orton's there. Damian Priest kind of walks away in disgust. Damian Priest then sort of just looks away, disappointed. Randy's there. Matt Riddle's like an excited kid again at the ice cream store or something. He's at Toys R Us or something again. He's really excited. Crucially, like Randy Orton sort of talks to him, yeah, calm down, kid, calm down, calm down. And in the end, it ends up with kind of Matt Riddle sort of pretending, letting Randy Orton lock his mouth and then throwing a key away. And then Matt Riddle's hobbling around the floor trying to find the key. This is comedy gold for me. I'm enjoying this. I shouldn't be laughing and enjoying it, but for me, this work is one step backwards from last week where they were teasing Matt Orton, not Matt Orton, they were teasing Matt Riddle to be a heel, and this week he's kind of back to be, I'm a babyface. You know what I mean? What did you think of this segment?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I must admit, like you say, it's a step backwards in that way from last week. It just shows he's in awe of Randy Orton. He wants to learn. He wants to get everything from Randy. And he's willing to do heel tactics in the ring to do so. But the second he sees Randy Orton, like you say, he is like that kid that's in Toys R Us. Maybe he's like when the newest AEW action figures come out. I don't know. Britt Baker must be very happy with her one being out, by the way. But no, at the same time, like when you look at it, just like you said, there's moments of genius in this because Randy Orton's, the facials, the character work. I mean, Randy Way's like, got to keep it quiet, give me the key and throw the key away. You know what's coming. You know it's obvious. You know it's a bit cheesy and a bit corny, but the way they deliver it, it's actually really, really good. So, yeah, I mean, this continues to be one of the best things in the world. The minor negative is that this is all they've got for Damian Priest on this show because Damian Priest is worth more. But apart from that, take that aside, really enjoyed this.
Definitely. I'm putting it out there now. Do you remember a while ago, Steve, I said back to you that there was the money spot was when Alexa was going to get RKO'd from Randy Orton. The money spot in this segment is when Randy Orton RKO's Matt Riddle off that scooter. That's got to happen. And it's not going to happen now, but it's going to happen. No. You can just kind of see it now. Do you think that'll be an exciting spot you want to see down the line?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that feels like the way it would go. Unless Riddle, it was like the double turn and Riddle did it on Orton and Riddle went heel and Randy went babyface. That could be quite a fun dynamic as well. But I don't see that. I think if one happens, like you said, the more likely one is Randy to turn on Riddle.
Definitely. So speaking of Randy Orton, he's up next. We've got a match, Randy Orton versus Xavier Woods. This is obviously following up from the match last week Xavier Woods had. Really, really good match. It went on like sort of, they got a fair bit of time. Crucially, Orton does get the win and he gets the win with the Bro Derek. So he's getting Riddle's finisher. Riddle looks like he just scored a goal in the FA Cup final or the Super Bowl for anybody who doesn't watch football. What did you make of the finish of Matt Riddle sort of playing to Randy Orton being in awe of the finish? What did you think of that?
I loved it. I mean, the facial was the way you could see Randy. It's typical Randy when he hit that move and he's not even looking at Riddle's direction. He's got that smirk on his face. I loved it. It was a great match as well. Definitely one of the highlights of Raw for me was that. I still think Xavier Woods deserves a singles push as well. Loving the Power Rangers reference they've got with the outfits as well. I thought it was pretty cool. This ticks a lot of boxes for me. And Randy, he's such a tease, isn't he? You just thought there at the end, this is gonna be the week he's gonna go along with Riddle, and we can solidify it. Definitely RK Bro as a thing. It's still being held up. It's like a week or two away, and I do think that when they have that initial or that end of rivalry with the New Day, that's going to be the moment it's going to click, and they're going to wait for a big moment. I actually think now, if they can, try and hold it out another few weeks because, I mean, with fans coming back, that'll get a massive pop that week one, wouldn't it?
I'll go as far to say I think sort of maybe Money in the Bank. I think we're going to get this sort of RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Amos match. That is the money match we've said every single week. That's the way they're going to be going. That's obviously the natural progression. They're your new tag team champions, I think. But I love the work with it. I love the psychology from Randy Orton. He's a bit like Jake the Snake in the mannerisms and stuff. It's so basic, but it's so brilliant as well. And this guy's done an amazing job to make me care about Riddle. I always said Riddle was a fantastic wrestler, but to go from this joke flipping like flippers with parrots and that lot out of his shoes and stuff to actually have an interest in what he does week on week. Great booking by WWE and great work by all parties involved, I'd say.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on the money there. I mean, if you said to me like a couple of months ago, what my thoughts about Riddle, like you said, it's exactly the same. I wasn't a fan. Every time I'm backstage, I was like, can we move on to the next bit? I've got nothing good to say. Now I'm enjoying every segment, and that just goes to credit that they've actually turned it around and they're really on the right path with this.
Definitely. So we're going to move forward then. So we've obviously got this match that was built last week, Shayna Baszler facing Reginald. I was intrigued by this match. I know that we've seen Reginald face other people, and somehow, like, sort of, he doesn't touch them, he doesn't do anything. He actually got to do a power slam in this match, which was, I was in awe, I was amazed. Crucially, though, it does end up with sort of the same fireworks and sort of pyro we've seen in recent weeks. Shayna gets distracted, but then Reginald buries Baszler with a roll-up. So, yeah, not a good way to end the match. I get that it's a feud that they're going to kind of work with, I think. But for me, I enjoyed the whole sort of tomfoolery of it, the dancing around. I'm kind of accepted that with Reginald, but I just can't believe Shayna Baszler's getting buried. What happened to our NXT Shayna? That's the problem I've got with this. She's fallen that far down the card. It's just, I don't know if it's beyond the point of no repair, really. She's a former NXT Women's Champion. She's a former Tag Team Champion. You know what I mean? This is a woman that was up there at one point, and now she's kind of gone down to, I don't even want to know, the Job Squad level, that type of level. I think she's just a bit of a joke, really. What did you think of the segment and that pinfall?
Disgraceful. I think that's the first word we're going to go for it. No, it's just awful. I mean, we've gone from the best booked thing on Raw, from Randy Orton and Riddle, to the worst thing on Raw booked for a very long time, which is Shayna Baszler, Nia Jackson, Reginald being in the centre of it. Nothing against Reginald, but what the hell? This makes no sense whatsoever as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if it's a distraction and stupid supernatural stuff going on that causes the roll-up. It's criminal. What are they doing with Shayna Baszler? Like, whoever in the creative team is got the marking of what they're doing with Shayna Baszler, that person doesn't deserve to have a job. I'm sorry. I'm going to be really harsh and say it as I see it, but I think a 4-year-old could book Shayna Baszler a lot better than whoever is booking her right now. It's criminal what's going on, and I'm worried about where it's going to lead to next as we go on later in the show. But yeah, less said the better. I hated it.
Definitely. I think the last thing I had for it with Shayna Baszler, ever since Vince McMahon wanted to fire her and didn't rate her work. Do you remember that whole story that broke last year when Paul Heyman went to SmackDown? She's never really kind of recovered. It's a real travesty. We haven't even got a comment here from official 2N2K. I'll go to that one now, actually, and get this one up now. This one is totally relevant to what we're saying. Can we have the NXT Shayna Baszler, please? W Runer at this point. I agree. They are, but we will talk about her later. I think it's going to get worse. That's the spoiler for later, what we're going to talk about. But let's go forward then. So we've obviously got another return this week. We've got Mason T-Bar, the new Ascension of 2021. They're officially the Ascension now. They are back. They've been, I don't know where they've been for weeks. At 1 minute, they're top of the card with Bobby Lashley. Now they're back to just wherever they are. They are back. We've also got the return of Lucha House Party. I was happy to see 2 tag teams that don't get any airtime on TV. The match didn't go very long. Mason T-Bar do get the win. I love the double choke slam, the high justice finisher. For me, it's just kind of a squash match. They need to do something with this tag team. What did you think of the match and the comebacks this week?
I mean, I can't say that I overly cared for it, but really too much. But what I would say is I will stick with the positives. Like you say, it's great to see 2 tag teams back on Raw. Lucha House Party actually got a video package not long ago. And they come back and they actually lose their first match back, which is not a great sign. They're probably given up on that very quickly. With Mason T-Bar, yes, look, they've still got the Retribution music, which actually I like that music. So if someone's going to have it, why not? It's fine. They've got the look. I don't like the stupid promos they do before matches. I don't know why they have to sound the way that they sound. But the mannerisms and stuff they do in the ring as this sort of, beat 'em up tag team, I actually quite like it. Like you say, you compared to the Ascension there, I mean, they already have more wins than the Ascension at least. That's something I'll give them as a positive. No, I compared them to the Powers of Pain from the 80s, because especially with that promo style, that's kind of how they remind me of. They're lacking a Mr. Fuji at this point. That's what's the making them the complete package. But I think they will be, as we seem to be booking AJ Styles and Omos, as almost like a babyface tag team now, which is sort of weirdly switched overnight without any logical sense. Yeah. This could be a tag team that could be next in line if booked with 3 or 4 wins on the road before RK Bro get that match, which I think should be. You said Money in the Bank there. It's a good shout. That could definitely happen. I hope it's pushed off till SummerSlam, because then you've got time to fit in Mason T-Bar for that match beforehand, because that could be interesting to see as a tag team match, but maybe it's too soon. I don't know at this point.
I love it. I love what you said, mate. I think definitely spot on with that. I agree. I think what would have been better, I don't know if you agree with this, is a small thing. They should have gone back to Dijakovic as a name, shouldn't they? And dropped them silly names like when they did that whole thing of the mask coming off and that lot. But we can wish on that. But no, I'd like to see it. It's great to see another tag team available though on the Raw roster, because rather than having the same matches again and again, obviously we lost one later on the show, but the fact we got 2 tag teams back this week, it was a really strange way to see all these people randomly back with no explanation. But I was just happy to see people get airtime. Really, I don't know whether the fact that we've got this announcement of fans coming back last week, whether this is the reason why they're going to start getting more people out there ready so the fans know who they are, rather than people that don't see like every single week, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we say. Let's take the positive. I didn't care so much for the match, but the thing is, actually, I'm very happy to see both teams get that TV time. And like, I think Lucha House Party are a very underrated tag team, both fantastic in-ring performers. The right team went over here. Let's take away, like you said, some of the bad things. Yeah, they've not changed the names and stuff, but they are, as a package, if you put them in front of people, they look the part. So let's go with it. Let's see where they can go, and let's not put them in stupid nonsense for the next few weeks. Let's try and give them a proper build.
Definitely. Going to go to the comments. Got a few ones here. Silk, NXT Steve, New Day, Power Ranger attire, Chef's ass. That loud. Definitely. Noob and Co. Remember when Shayna Baszler almost killed Becky Lynch by biting her neck and almost killed Oscar in the Elimination Chamber match last year? Yeah, that doesn't seem like so long ago, unfortunately.
No. It feels a long time ago in a way, but I know what you're saying, because Shayna Baszler at that point was an unstoppable monster. She went to, like you said, we went to the chamber, destroyed everyone. It's incredible to see how the mighty have fallen.
Definitely. Going to go next then, obviously, with this. So we'd obviously then had Sheamus facing Ricochet. This is obviously a rematch. Great to see Ricochet back again. Crucially, Ricochet does get the win. It's a roll-up by death, so big shock victory. We then get another match with Sheamus, Sheamus and Humberto Carrillo. Once again, it's another roll-up. This is the third roll-up on the show at this point. I get that they're fluke wins. I'm really happy to see Ricochet get a win over Sheamus and Carrillo get a win over Sheamus. For me, it was okay. I'm just happy to see these guys get another placement on camera again. This is more time people are getting on TV that they normally wouldn't get. What did you think of the double matches?
Yeah. Right. The matches are fantastic. The in-ring, they're totally fine. I've got no problem with them in that way. But why do we need to revisit? Sheamus has beat them a number of times. I don't see. This is the first time Sheamus has lost to both. So I can understand from that point, but they need to help each other to do so. So are we building towards a triple threat match on the kickoff of the next pay-per-view? That seems like the logical angle. One thing I will say is obviously Korea probably has not done himself many favors actually by busting open Sheamus's nose as well. That didn't look a pretty sight there. And Sheamus actually made it look amazing though. At the same time, it did heighten the match and he played it into story in the match. Yeah, I just, my problem with this is I want to see Sheamus and feel like he's going to lose the championship. And with both of these guys right now, I'm so pleased to see him on TV, particularly Ricochet. I think Ricochet deserves better than a fluke roll-up victory. But I'm worried that they're just going to be fed in a triple threat match, both lose, and then Sheamus then will move on to another program. I don't see that belt changing anytime soon.
I agree. The thing I took from it was that Sheamus wasn't going to defend the belt until fans are back. That's kind of the way I took from the promo. But it's one of the things I could see them putting on Raw if they do a title triple threat. I don't think it'll make it to a pay-per-view, unfortunately, although it would be good. I think we're waiting really ultimately for Keith Lee to come back. Keith Lee and Sheamus is the one we've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks that kind of is probably the natural one when he comes back. I think you'd agree based on what you said before.
Yeah, from what I've said before, the only thing is if Keith Lee doesn't come back anytime soon, because we don't know the reasoning for him being off TV, maybe Damian Priest could fill that role, if not.
Yeah, no, great shout. I'd love to see it. Damian Priest and Sheamus. That seems like a money match to me, and it would be similar to the quality of Intercontinental title matches we get on SmackDown. For me, that's a similar style of quality and talent. Basically, going to go to the comments here. Got a good one from Noob and Co. Might as well call Raw roll up all week. Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a cheap way to get people out of it. Can I just ask one last thing, Steve, while I remember? Speaking of that match, is it just me, or is it the fact that when these wrestlers come out and distract wrestlers, the full music plays and that lot, it's so negative. I just don't really like it. It's like the old days when so-and-so used to just walk out. The referee couldn't see them. The fact that the referee sees these people walk out, they don't get involved. Yeah, it's the same thing all the time. I don't get why they've gone for putting the music out there. Why do you think they've done that? It's a massive change to what they used to do back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's so people can go like, oh, so-and-so's coming out. But it's like you say, I prefer more the idea of the mystery to the last second. Sometimes you get these run-ins or distractions and you're going to go, oh, who did that? And then all of a sudden, it's like that excitement after the match to go, that camera needs to follow that wrestler, so we need to know who he is. It's almost like, oh, it's a media. Oh, I know who that is. And they cost them. And you think, so with the music hitting as well, surely the wrestler in the ring goes, they're coming out to distract me. I don't look at them.
No,
how stupid are you to go and look?
That's kind of exactly what I'm saying. But thank you for the analysis. You've put it better than I would have done. So really appreciate it. Got a good one here from NXT Steve. Everyone's suffering from Baron Corbin's weakness, the roll-up pinfall. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that definitely. So let's kind of move forward then. Obviously, we had another Eva Marie video, very much to hype that she's coming. Obviously, big talk about her. There's loads of different conflicting reports. I've heard that she's going to be a manager or a mentor rather than a wrestler. Apparently, she's still trying to improve. They don't have confidence apparently to let her be a wrestler, which is surprising considering the amount of airtime they're giving these vignettes. Are you looking forward to seeing her back, and which role do you think she'll be when she comes back?
I've heard the rumors as well about the manager role. In fact, that was actually one of my questions on the Q&A this week I had. I kind of feel like I could see both. I mean, the thing is that a lot of those video packages, like especially the one we saw last night, she's actually wrestling in them, which would suggest that she's going to be in ring. But at the same time, hearing those reports, I mean, maybe because she is always saying, I'm going to pass off my wisdom to somebody else. So I don't know if this is going to be a case of that maybe she's going to be a manager for someone or a team for a short term. Then when they feel she's ready, then they'll put her in ring and they'll break it up. But the thing is, she's supposed to be a babyface at this point, which I think surely WWE knows that's not going to work. So I wonder if this is being done on purpose so that eventually when the crowd doesn't go on side, she can turn heel and we've got a feud with said babyface that she's supposed to be helping.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be good to see her do something. I think she's obviously got a good look, and I really hope that they can do something with that. If that makes sense, I think she's they put a lot of airtime in this, and there's a lot of hype that's gone behind it instead of bringing up people from NXT that could have been in the spot. That's the only thing I would say. But let's see what it is. Let's make the best of it. I'm sure whatever it does, it's good if she is with somebody. Perhaps she'll give that person an extra lift if she does mentor somebody. Hopefully, there are quite a few people on the Raw Women's roster that could do the lift at the moment, based on the matches we're seeing quite a lot. Let's move forward and talking about matches. This one we've got here. We've got Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke facing Naomi and Lana. I've just seen this type of match so many times recently on Raw. It seems to be the women's tag team division. Like it's just rematch city. Crucially, we do get Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke win. For me, I didn't like the match. I thought it was really, really poor. Didn't really work. The positive of it was that Naomi was in it, but I think Naomi's far talented than all the other wrestlers in this spot. I've got to be honest with you. And it just didn't work for me. What do you think of the match?
I mean, the thing is, it's better on their recent matches because there was no Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax booking around it, so they had a chance to just actually have a match. So there is some positives I'm going to take out of it, and I have to try and find a positive where I can. But yeah, we've seen this match too much. It's again rematch city. But what I will say is another positive: we didn't get a roll up. It wasn't as if someone else was practicing to get into the 24/7 division later on down the line. I like Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose's new finishing move, although I don't think it was executed perfectly this week. I think though with time that will probably look like a devastating finisher. I did feel though on commentary of Natty and Tamina that we actually were going to get a feud with Lana and Naomi. It kind of made sense because they were talking about them for half of the match, but it didn't actually turn out that way. No, I like the fact, I mean, with Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose as well, they've kind of got this, the Golden Girls kind of look that they had from the late 80s with that sort of tag team as well, with the matching ring attire and stuff, and obviously both being blonde. I think they can make it work. I look forward to seeing when this match is made because at least now with championship matches in the women's tag team division, that is going to be fresh because we've got new champions. So there is something positive to take out of it, but yeah, the match that we've had on Raw this week, have seen it too many times.
Yeah, well said, Steve. I agree with all your points. Thank you for the analysis. Always good. We've got another rematch here. Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander. This is obviously a feud without proper feud time. Crucially, it goes about a minute. Alexander does get the win. For me, I just feel sorry for these guys. These guys might as well not be on TV. The spot they're in, they're both very talented. They've obviously been trading wins and losses at the moment, and this didn't do anything for anyone. I think this was just throwing them out there to waste some time, really. What did you think of the match?
I'm very conscious that we don't talk about this longer than the match was itself entirely because it was that short. If you blinked, you missed it. Yeah. But that poke in the eye gave Shelton the win. Like you said, it was a cheap win. I think it was supposed to look like a dominant win for Cedric. Sorry, it was supposed to look dominant because he won so quickly. But also the fact that Shelton, after all these years of experience, still hasn't learned from something that happened the previous week. So it felt like that Prime Alexander is ahead in the pecking order. But like you say, this didn't really connect as much for me. If it was going to happen where Cedric was going to win this quickly, it should have happened clean.
Definitely, I agree with you. I think move forward with this. I think both of them could be great in the United States title division as well. They're further people that could be added to that sort of Sheamus feud and stuff like that. Got a few comments here. Got a good one for NXT Steve. They have to step carefully with Eva Marie if she's going to wrestle. Her last run on NXT, had the crowd chanting, "You can't wrestle." That's probably why they're going to go for the manager mentor role. I think that's the only thing that would be sensible. And Nubico, if Eva Marie's going to be a babyface manager, it's possible. Could it possibly be Oscar since she's faced her? Since she's a face, hopefully this is going to happen. Eva Marie might pass the knowledge on to Oscar. What do you think of Oscar or Eva Marie? I can't see that. I think Oscar's such a big person on her own. I don't think she'll want a manager, but what do you think of that?
I mean, obviously, it would help on the promo side of things.
Yeah.
That's something you could take from it. But I mean, Oscar is arguably one of the top 5 women on all of Raw and SmackDown. So I don't see why she would need the help from Eva Marie, who has not really done anything in WWE previously. So that would be my negative to that point. But from a promo side, that would be a benefit.
I just don't know how it would fit. Like, if you look at the Eva Marie vignettes they're running with Oscar's character, it's just totally a disconnect for me. I don't know how it would work, but the translating of promos would be great, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like you say, if she wants to give back, I mean, Oscar has been champion for most of the last year. I know she's not been for the last couple of months now. So how can Eva Marie give back to something when Oscar's already been at the top of the ladder? It would make more sense for me that she would take someone like Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke as a tag team, because they haven't managed to reach arguably the pinnacle there.
No.
Almost went back into AEW for you. But the thing is like, looking at it, that for me would be more of an actual fit, because Eva Marie is arguably on the same level as them. So that way it could kind of benefit as a trio, getting them up the ladder. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's something at the moment to let play out on WTV, and hopefully they'll make the right booking decision with it, because it probably will be crucial, especially with fans coming back. As Silk said there, with fans are coming back now, so we will quickly hear the "You Can't Wrestle." It would have made a lot more sense for Eva Marie to be in front of the Thunderdome for about 3 or 4 months, where people can't shout that.
Sounds great. Moving forward with this, then, we've obviously got Elias in the locker room. He's there with Jackson Riker. Jackson Riker basically does say the line that WWE should have been promoting all along. I was in Iraq. I've been an army person for 4 years. I was in the army 4 years. For me, well done, WWE. The money, that's a money move you've done there. That was really, really clever. Should have done it sooner, but it was a great promo to tease what was going to happen. What did you think of this Jackson Riker babyface turn promo, basically?
Yeah, it seems if most fans are not on Jackson Riker's side, I thought maybe Elias is the one that's going to probably come out as the babyface. But I know what you're saying here. The problem with this is that I just didn't care. I don't mean that horribly. I care of the fact. I care that Jackson Riker has been doing time in the army for Iraq, for people's freedom. That's totally amazing, and God bless him for doing so. But in the storyline term in WWE, the tag team of Elias and Jackson Riker, I haven't got a lot of time for. So however they book it, they've got to book it really strongly to get me invested.
Definitely. I think the thing with it is it's one of them things where you, as you said, you expect Elias to do the heel work, but or you expect Elias to be the babyface based on the fact that Jackson Riker's background and stuff. But it's an interesting thing. Coming up next, we've got sort of a rare treat, Steve. This is the WWE Raw Tag Team titles been defended on TV. That's really rare. We don't see that very often these days. And we've got Omos there, which is great. This is the first match Omos has had on Raw since May 3rd, so it's quite nice to kind of see him there in this spot, like in the tag team format. He was in the 6-man or 8-person tag we saw back at May 10th. But interesting to see. So we've obviously got his tag team titles. Cruise Sheet does end up with Elias walking out. He leaves Jackson Riker there, so it's a heel turn for Elias, a full heel turn. And AJ Styles and Omos retain. Yeah, this was okay. They burnt through that feud already, which was a surprise. I thought they'd been building this up for a while, this sort of pairing. So I'm surprised they burnt through it. But what did you think of the tag team champions retaining?
I think it was probably the most obvious result of the night, wasn't it? Probably that they weren't going to drop that. So it was okay. For me at the moment, even the AJ Omos stuff isn't connecting as well as it should be. And I'm a big fan, but AJ Styles is my favorite. So it should be connecting more than it does. And like you said, Elias and Jackson Riker will go into a program that, I don't mean this horribly, but many people might not really have much care for.
No, probably not. I think it's one of the things just be on main event if it's not too careful, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Bang on the money.
Moving forward, then, we've got this Alexa's Playground. So Alexa's there. It's great to see her back this week. I hope she's well after everything that went on last week. So it's great to see her back. We have got her there. She's there with Lily and Reginald. It looks like that sort of it's all happy, and Reggie's quite confident. He's cockily confident. Next thing you know, Bliss said Lily has something to say to Reggie. Reggie acts like he can't hear Lily, which is what everyone thinks. It's a doll, it doesn't speak. Next thing you know, Shayla Baszler beats up. She does totally destroy Reginald. She literally kicks the crap out of him. And then next thing you know, we've got Bliss and Baszler sort of squaring up. And it does end up with kind of Baszler going up to Lisa saying it's just a stupid doll. And then Alexa looking like angry. She's looking like what she did at WrestleMania, really. What did you make of this segment? And we can go into it in a bit more detail after, like what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, yeah, Shayna Baszler, I mean, of course, yeah, she gets arguably a bit of a heat back, if that's possible, after that ring loss. And when you look at things as well with this, her promo was fine with the playground stuff, but I'm not a big fan of the character. But like you say, it's very nice to see Alexa Bliss back on TV. She's gone for a difficult time the last sort of week or two, so it's good to see her back, and I hope she's doing well.
Definitely. There is a sort of a rumor. We can get the rumor out there now. I spoke to Steve and a few other people in the weekend about this. So the rumor with Shayna Baszler, this is, take this for what you will. There's two plans for her at the moment. The two plans are that Lily pins her. That they're generally thinking about Lily pinning Shayna Baszler, which would be, I don't know how you do that. The only way I can try and make any sense of that is that Alexa turns into Lily, what we saw at WrestleMania with the Fiend. That's basically Lily. That's the only way I can try and make it a bit more reasonable. The other one is that due to voodoo, the Papa Shango stuff that's going on, Shayna Baszler will be controlled by Alexa Bliss in some sort of Frankenstein type character. It probably won't be Frankenstein, but it will be based on the fact that, remember when Shayna Baszler bit Becky Lynch, it's that going to be that type of character that can't think for herself and she's just doing what Alexa tells her. Do you think either one of them two make it a bit more acceptable, or do you think they're going to be even make the storyline even worse?
It's hard to make it worse when you say those two ideas. But I mean, Shayna Baszler, remember as well, John Morrison said at the start of the night, vampires. That's kind of the vibe there. I wonder if they're kind of like sort of subtly hinting at what's to come. I'm not a fan of either, but I mean, if you had to go down one avenue, I suppose the Baszler being mind controlled one I can accept. The Lily pilling doll. I know they're planning on the New Japan partnership if they can get that over the line. I know that in Japan, wrestlers sometimes have matches with blow up dolls, but it doesn't make it acceptable that you should have a wrestling match with a Lily doll.
No, I know. It's one of the things with this Lily thing. It's getting to the point now where it comes to crescendo. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of match or segment next week between Alexa and Shayna. As I said on other shows, like the amount of time that Alexa's out the ring because of this silliness that's going on, it's a real shame. It's a really silly angle, and it is about time they pay off whatever this Lily thing is, in my opinion. I know the whole point of a wrestling fan is you've got to have patience and wait for stuff, but it's going at such a slow rate now for me. I'm starting to lose interest with this, like, quite quickly. And it's not her fault. She's doing the best she can with it, but the fact that they've got this doll in such a pivotal position on WTV, it's a real disconnect compared to what we see on SmackDown with Roman Reigns and all the cool stuff there.
I have to agree 100%. I have to agree. I mean, again, it's one of those that Alexa Bliss has been one of my favorites for many, many years. And all of a sudden, like, I'm so uninspired and uninvested by the character we're seeing. And I can't wait for the transition to go back when she goes back to being the goddess. But I don't see it happening anytime soon, sadly.
I think they're making it up as they go along. That's the problem with it more than anything. It doesn't seem to be any long. You can't tell me that at WrestleMania, when she did that stuff with the goo and that lot, that the plan of this was going to be Lily, a doll to pin sort of Shayna Baszler like 3 months later. It's just so not 3 months later, but weeks later, shall we say. But fingers crossed something happens. Shayna Baszler may get a push out of this. She may be pinned by Lily, and then somewhere or another with Alexa, it may be good to see. But if she does get pinned by a doll, I just think it's where'd you go from there? It's going to be crazy. It's going to be
it's not. No, coming back, even go back to NXT, it would take a lot of work because you could damage the rest of that division as well. So yeah, it's very, very got to be carefully done here.
Definitely. So moving forward, then we're going to go forward. So we obviously had another return this week. We've got the Viking Raiders backstage. They're there with Monsieur, and they're talking about sort of the fans coming back. We then get another cameo. This is a return week again of Mustafa Ali. He's there as well. It's great to see someone else back that hasn't been on there. And it ends up with sort of the Viking Raiders getting Monsieur to do their quote. And Mustafa Ali then tells Mansoor to be careful about being friends with them. Ali told Mansoor not to trust the Viking Raiders or anyone. Mansoor asked why should he trust him. Ali said, now you're getting it, and left. This was great. It's great to see Ali there, Mansoor, and the Viking Raiders. Very, very happy to see these talents there. I just don't like it when they drop these one-liners and then nothing happens next week. If you're going to drop one-liners and waste time on a segment, let's start something with this. Let's start a program with Mansoor and Ali or something, because Ali's work with Ricochet on 205 Live, their feud's been incredible. So I think Ali can do some really good work. I think Mansoor, he had such a hype coming into this with Goldberg win streak that went in the bin after week one. He's a talented wrestler, so they could do something. What do you think of this? Where would you like to see this go?
I really enjoyed this. This is one of the few things I really enjoyed from Raw this week. Like you say, you're spot on with all your points. I hope that leads to either a feud with Mansoor or Mustafa Ali, or it eventually leads to them being a tag team. One or the other. Let's put something together and make this work, because both of them with their verbal jest, I thought was really good, really believable, and this is a feud I could get into. And the Viking Raiders, I mean, they seem to be very happy-go-lucky for not actually having a match for about 4 or 6 weeks now on Raw, since coming back and winning for the first 2 weeks. But hopefully, like you said, they're refamiliarizing people with fans, and let's hope that there will be in matches in the very near future, because I think the Viking Raiders could really add something to this tag team division.
Yeah, they could. It's almost like if you look like this. I remember last week I said to you, Steve, there's this many people. I named loads of people that weren't on the show. It's almost like WWE saw this video from last week, our video, of when we discussed it, and they've just put, let's get everybody we can on camera this week, which is fun. It makes it interesting, but you want to give them something. You want everybody to be involved in something that's going to mean something instead of just being out there. But it's great to see it. Interesting tease. Let's kind of move forward then with this main event. So we've obviously got a rematch. Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston. The winner will get this number one contender, or the winner will get this number one shot. Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell. This was a really, really good match. It went on quite a bit, but it was just as good as last week. Crucially, Drew McIntyre did what he couldn't do last week. He does get the win by pinfall. In the end, we end up with Bobby Lashley there just staring him down. And this is building up your main event of Hell in a Cell. What did you think of the match and the finish? We've got a number one. We've got a new world title match now for the pay-per-view.
I would argue this match was pay-per-view worthy. I really enjoyed it. I would argue potentially that I didn't think it was the right result deep down. I think that Kofi is going to be very unlucky because I think had this been in front of fans, if this was 6 weeks down the line, Kofi was the favourite from the fan base going into this. And if WWE had been able to see it, maybe there would be a chance that they could start booking Kofi more strongly. I'm worried he's going to go back to, mid-card mediocrity after this. But Kofi deserves to be pushed. And what I do like from this match is it was presented where it could have gone either way. Kofi was actually given... He was gracious in defeat, which is what I really liked from it. And it was a very good match with some really cool spots. I loved the sort of like spinning around the world, sort of like DDT, underarm hook DDT. That was a really cool look. Kofi coming off the top rope and being caught and thrown over the barricade was a really nice look as well. Some of the throws Drew McIntyre was doing was fantastic as well. And let's not forget that finishing moment with Kofi coming off the top rope into the Claymore. Some of these moments were really, really well done. It does make sense it's Drew McIntyre because that story with Bobby Lashley isn't finished. But is it something that people want to see? I arguably would say no. I think people are bored of this feud. They're bored of seeing Drew McIntyre in this spot. They want to see someone else have another go. I think it would have been a fun surprise had Kofi won the match. But let's hope at Hell in a Cell, this really is the last match between Drew and Bobby and they can go into different programs because it really doesn't feel fresh on Raw right now. And you're only as fresh as your opening act and your closing act. And those are the two things you remember. And right now on this show, on both of them, neither of it felt fresh.
I agree with the points you make. I think the thing with it is it's one of these feuds where it's in a Hell in a Cell with zero heat. There's no heat going into this feud. Bobby Lashley has destroyed Drew again and again and again. You know what I mean? It's not really something we have to see. There's not really that hatred there, despite sort of Bobby Lashley losing to Kofi a few weeks ago. That seems to have been forgotten about. There doesn't seem to be a massive sort of dance about that now. But I do feel your pain. I'd really hope that Kofi doesn't go back to mediocrity based on the big wins he has had. He's one of the few people on the roster to beat Bobby Lashley this year, which is it's got to mean something. You know what I mean? It's got to mean something. Otherwise, it's just a sort of really stupid. What is the point exactly? In terms of rating the show, I'll go for a final rating and final thoughts. My final thoughts: I kind of enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the amount of comebacks. I thought the show was interesting. Jimmy Smith was a great addition to me. He made it a bit more watchable. In terms of rating, I'd probably go 6 out of 10. I think the only thing I kind of didn't like was the lack of Damian Priest. This guy was up there. He did all that work with Bad Bunny. He was one of the most talked about people coming out of WrestleMania, and yet he can only get a 2-minute segment where he's not even a match. What's your final thoughts and score of the show?
I really enjoyed the main event. There are parts of the show, as I say, that I did enjoy, but for the most part, I found it either a bit nonsensical or a bit boring in places. So I'm going to go for 5 out of 10.
Perfect. We're going to go to the comments here. We've got a good one from West Coast Popcast. Zax. Hello, Zax. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate checking the video. Ali beat Jeff Hardy and Mansoor. Ali beat Jeff Hardy and Mansoor beat Drew Gulak on main event this week. Why aren't these guys doing this on Raw? I agree. You've probably hit the nail with the hammer. What do you think of that, Steve?
Absolutely. I would be more interested and invested. I mean, don't just have the backstage segment, have something that links to it. See, these guys are winners going in. Another question, where's Jinder Mahal?
Mate, that is the money question. I totally forgot about that. That's another one. That stable that was coming in, I can only believe that they're going to come back and maybe attack Drew. So maybe they want everyone to forget about it and then they come in and attack Drew. But no explanation there, mate. That's another one that was dropped. Which
yeah,
go on. No, sorry, after you.
No, so I didn't mean to interrupt there. I was just going to ask if I can have one final thought and just say, like, wouldn't it have been a lot more interesting going into the pay-per-view had you built 2 matches for the pay-per-view out of 1 on that main event on Raw? If Jinder had actually cost Drew McIntyre the match on this, we could have had Kofi versus Bobby Lashley, a fresh match at Hell in a Cell, as neither currently would be booked as Hell in a Cell anyway. And then you could start the build for Drew versus Jinder Mahal. 2 fresh matches, gone for pay-per-view. Instead, we've got the same old once again. But this match, I suppose, with Drew and Bobby Lashley, it does need a closing match, I suppose. It does need the chapter. But let's hope that this really is the final match because it's starting to test my patience.
I love that. I love that idea you said though. Getting 2 matches out of one. This is what they need to be doing. They need to be forthcoming with stuff. Can I get this out there, Steve? Let's get it out there now. Then, so just before we kind of end the video, then, what's your prediction? Then, if you're going to go Bobby Lashley, Drew, who do you think wins, and why do you think they win?
This is the thing. Actually, there is a bit of an interesting point from because I can't tell you either way right now what way I think it's going to go. Because if Drew here could logistically win the belt here and he's champion in front of fans, which is probably what they might want, but do they want him to win the belt in front of fans? That would probably make more sense. So I would say right now I lean towards Bobby Lashley retaining, but I don't see where Bobby Lashley goes next. So this is where my fear goes with this.
Is it just me, or has Bobby sort of ever since he won the belt and the Hurt Business went, that magic's gone for me? I'm not as excited to see him every single week. It's almost like I remember when he beat the Miz, the excitement level was like that. But now him with the belt, it's just if he lost to Drew, I wouldn't kind of be gutted. Although Drew winning the belt, unless it's a heel turn, unless Drew turning heel, I think fans are going to crap on it. I think it's really hard. Another question I have got for you, Steve, as well, what's relevant, where is Braun Strowman? That's another one as well that was missing this week. I don't know if he's injured or something. Maybe he's injured, I believe. I don't know. Do you know anything about Braun Strowman? Where he is?
I do think he hurt his ribs at the pay-per-view, so that could be why he's off there. But you're right with what you said there about Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. And the thing is as well, like with Bobby Lashley, he was a monster that was beating everyone. When it was that point when he destroyed Drew McIntyre, then he destroyed the Miz and the build of that story. The way he was an unstoppable monster. You want to get behind that. Now all of a sudden, what is he doing the last week? He's not even been in the match.
Having parties, isn't he? Having parties with this little train or whatever.
I've been in lockdown for the last year. I'm not going to get behind someone that's doing partying. Do you know what I mean? Like, wait till I can get to the club first. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Just going to go to kind of the last comment just before we go. What's happening next with next week's show? Noob and Co. Like I said last night's Raw is meh, but Jimmy Smith is great on commentary. But the lack of Oscar-like moments in the women's division on Raw is terrible. 5 out of 5. 5.5 out of 10. That's a fair rating, Noob. I think it's definitely hard to kind of watching this, if that makes sense. The only thing that's positive this week, we didn't get that many rematches. We didn't get people do double duty again and again and again. That only happened for Sheamus, really, which was quite nice to see. I think that's a big change, wasn't it?
Yeah, we have been getting a lot of that as well, so that's always a bonus to see because arguably they have enough of a roster. They don't need to do all these NXT call-ups, which are rumoured. But let's see. I mean, as long as WWE, when they put a show together, it can make logical sense. I don't mind who's on it at this point.
I think I've got to say this as well. I think where they've kind of gone wrong with the whole world title thing with Lashley now is that, as you said, it's a lack of opponent. It's not like they've called up Finn Balor to come into this spot or anybody. They haven't done anything different. And I get the Hell in a Cell's meant to be a feud ender, but they should have avoided that triple threat at last month's pay-per-view, really. They should have just had Braun facing Bobby, and they should have kept Drew and Bobby away from each other. That would have made it a bit more exciting. I think you'd agree.
Yeah, definitely. Although the triple threat match was actually a really good match. But at the same time, though, you could have had where Braun Strowman wasn't involved then. That could have been a fresh match with Lashley and Strowman at this pay-per-view.
Do we get to the point now with WWE where they need to just do things that break the rule book, such as get a Kevin Owens or somebody across from Raw, even though there's this draft thing, just ignore that, just for the sake of they're not following up storylines correctly on a lot of things. Let's just get somebody like a Kevin Owens, just so Bobby's got an opponent to face, basically, rather than the people that he's beat countless times.
I mean, maybe you could do it. You have those quarter invitational things. He comes over one night, he pings Bobby Lashley. People will then be like, oh, he's got to be number one contender. Yeah, I mean, they're breaking enough rules as it is. Why not? Let's do it.
I'm just thinking that as well. Got a good one here from NXT Steve. The repetitive booking of the same matches making people like yourself lose interest in Bobby Lashley. I think that's a fair point as well.
Yeah, very true.
Definitely. So speaking about next week's show, what we will be doing, we was meant to do it this week, but I haven't had time with work and stuff. Steve as well, very busy. We are going to look to do a draft. So we'll come up with the rules of the draft. We'll see. I don't know if we do 5 wrestlers from each. You can do 5 wrestlers from NXT, 5 wrestlers from Raw, 5 wrestlers from SmackDown, and just move them about where you'd like to see them, and you don't have to go into a lot of detail. Is that something you'd be up for doing? I think it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts and your creative on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a bit of fun, and drafting is something I always really enjoy in WWE, so I'll be happy to be a part of that, and hopefully everyone else would like to interact with us in the comments while we're doing it.
Definitely. Steve, listen, I thank you so much for doing the show. That's it from here. I just want to, before we end the video, just ask you just to promote your channel and let us know what you got coming up on the channel this week. You've got some great stuff, I believe.
Thank you very much for having me on, as always. Always great to be. Hope everyone subscribes to Jonesy Chats Wrestling. Yeah, I have got a live Q&A tomorrow. Being joined by Tom Colohue. So we're going to be taking your questions live as well. That'll be 11 p.m. UK time, which means it's 6 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that tomorrow, and I hope to drop another 1 or 2 videos through the week as well.
Definitely. Tom Colohue, if anyone doesn't know, this guy's really legitimate. He's really good. He works for PW Torch, really respected. some of his ideas and creative is fantastic. Highly recommend you get involved. This guy is legit. He knows so much stuff, and he's got a really interesting overview. He's got quite a lot of insider news and stuff. So check it out. But as I said, thank you all for watching us. I hope yourselves have a great week. Enjoy NXT if you're watching tonight. As always, stay safe. Thank you for the support. We are on the road to 150 subs. I think we're only 2 away now. So anyone that can sub who isn't already, please do sub. And that's kind of been it. I've been George, joined by Steve from SCW, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching, guys.